Okay, good afternoon, everybody. Today we will be discussing the case of Gilbert Steel Limited versus University Construction Limited, decided in 1976. The case focuses on contract modification and the enforceability of oral agreements. My name is Jasprit Kaur and my team members are Harsimran Kaur, Navjot Kaur, Komalpreet Kaur, Anmolpreet Singh, and Diljit Singh. Okay. Okay, this slide is about the introduction. This case revolves around an issue in contract law, especially contract modification and whether oral agreements can be enforced. The court's decision is particularly important because it highlights the requirement for consideration when modifying a contract, showing us that for a modification to be legally binding, new or fresh consideration is needed.
This slides is about the two parties. In this case, we have the two parties, the Plantain and Gilbert Steel Limited. A company supplies steel from the construction project and defense per university construction limited, which was responsible for the building the project at the University of Toronto. But both parties entered into a contract, but this disagreement over price led to be legal dispute. This slide is about facts. On September 4, 1969, Gilbert Stream Limited and University Construction Limited enters into a written contract for the steel supplying at the fixed price for the rebuilding project. However, there was a steel limited rise its price. Gilbert's team request to higher price payment and price increasing was discussed, and there was a oral agreement was made regarding the new price, but University Construction Limited refused to honor the increasement, which led to be a legal dispute. These slides tell about the case history. The case went to the several stages. Initially, the trial court slides with the Giver Steels Limited ruling that the oral agreement to increase the price was enforceable. However, University Construction Limited appealed that the oral agreement lacked consideration and was therefore unfavorable. The Ontario Court of Appeal ultimately overturned the trial decisions and rules in the favor of University Construction Limited.
Hello everyone, my name is Navjot Kaur and today I am discuss about the legal issues. The main legal issues in this case was whether the oral agreement to increase the price of steel was enforceable. In contract law, a modification to an existing contract must include consideration, meaning both parties must receive something of value in return. The contract had to decide whether University Construction Limited received any new benefit in exchange for agreeing to high price. Now let's look at what the court is decided. Continue for the legal issues. Let's now look at the court decision. The Ontario Court of Appeal ruled in favor of University Construction Limited, decided that the oral agreement was unenforceable because it lacked fresh consideration. Since University Construction Limited was already obligated to pay the original price, merely agreeing to continue the contract under new terms was not legally binding. Now, the next team member will explain the legal reasoning behind this decision. Thank you. Hello, my name is Komalpreet Kaur. Now I am going to proceed further with the next topic, rational consideration doctrine. The consideration doctrine ensures fairness in contract by requiring both parties to exchange something of value. Contract modification needs new consideration to enforceable. Under the pre-existing duty rule, a promise to do something already required by the original contract is not valid consideration, making the modification unenforceable unless exceptional apply. Moving to the next slide, rational application to the case. The court ruled that University Construction Limited was already bound to pay the original price under the contract. When Gilbert Steel Limited requested a price increase, University Construction agreed, but there was no fresh consideration provided in return. Since consideration is required to make a contract modification legally binding, the court found that the oral agreement was unenforceable. This decision aligned with the pre-existing duty rule, which states that performing an obligation already agreed upon does not count as new consideration without additional benefits or new promises exchanged. The price increase could not legally be enforced. The case highlights the importance of fresh consideration in contract modification. Thank you. Now my next team member is going to proceed further with the next slide.
Hello, my name is Nolpit Singh and I will discuss the cases the court refers to in this situation. The court considered two important cases law. The first one established that a promise to perform an existing duty cannot be valid consideration, and the second case create an expansion stating that contract modification might be valid if they provide a practical benefits. However, the Ontario Court of Appeal did not apply this expression because no new benefits was provided. Now let's explain the key, key legal principles and the impact of these cases. The court decision reinforced three major contract law. Modification of contract. Any contract modification must be supported by fresh consideration, meaning both parties must agree to new terms that provide additional value. Second one is no consideration, no contract. Contract made without consideration are not legally enforceable. The third one is important of writing agreement. The case implies that the need for the written contract to provide misunderstanding and the legal dispute consider documentation. Please help establish enforcemental terms. This principle ensures fairness and credibility in contract law, making it essential for business and individual to properly negotiate and document agreement. Now, Lex Diljit will walk us through some important topics.
Hi sir, my name is Diljit Singh and now I will continue the next slide. So the next slide is about oral modification and consideration in contrast. So this case reinforces the strict application of the doctrine of consideration, which requires that any contractual modification must be supported by fresh consideration to be legally enforceable. So the ruling highlights that oral modification to contrast without new consideration cannot be enforced, and ensuring that the parties cannot simply change like agreements without providing something of the value in return. And the next slide is about the key legal takeaways. So the oral agreement unenforceable. The Court of Appeal ruled that the University Construction Limited had no legal obligation to pay the increased price because no new benefits were provided in the exchange of modification. Since the company was already bound to pay under the original contract, the promise to pay more for the same work lacked consideration. And next, how Gilbert Steel Limited could have ensured enforceability. So to make the modification binding, Gilbert Steel Limited could have constructed a new agreement by offering fresh benefits such as fast delivery, additional services, or improved qualities, improve like quality in exchange of price increased. So this would have created the necessary consideration to support the contractual change. Thanks.
The last slide is about the conclusion. The case demonstrates that a contract modification requires new consideration to be enforceable. The decision emphasizes the fundamental contract law principle that both parties must receive something of a value in return for any modification to a contract. The ruling has had lasting effect on how contract modifications are treated under Canadian law, enforcing that modifications are not made lightly and must be backed by new consideration to be valid.